almost to take any action, and how we can move from the fear into the learning, and from the learning into the growing stage. So I'm really glad that, you know, you're all here today. And all right, so I'm hearing some feedback. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Okay, there we go. Brilliant. So I'm really glad that we're all here today, because everyone that's here today is, of course, recognizing the fact that, you know, this is an opportunity for us to make the most of this time and work on the things that we always say we want to work on, but we don't always have time to work on. So we all say we want systems, and I've been doing this for a number of years now, and I've been training and coaching on systems for a number of years. And the biggest challenge in my experience that agents have had when it came to me saying we need to create systems is never not knowing why they need systems. It's more of a, I don't have time to create systems. Like, my day is crazy. Like, I start in the morning, and then I have showings, and then I have an offer presentation, and then I have to do, you know, we're like running around like crazy. So I feel like we have a moment to pause, reflect, and we all know we're going to return back to this business. Once this is all over, once things blow over, we're all going to return back to, you know, the business that we have. And it's just a matter of, what business do you return back to? Do you just kind of like come out of hibernation at that point and just decide, okay, you know, it's time for us to kind of just like catch up with everything? Or do you use this time productively as best as you can? Like I said, of course, it's not about you just turning, you know, and not like blaming yourself if you have days or moments where you don't feel up to doing anything, because like I said, we have to honor that. But as much as possible, are you using this time to build your business, grow your business, and do the things that you said you wanted to do, but don't have time to do? Because now you have the time to do it.
I feel like some people, and I mean, everybody's situation's a little bit differently, but a lot of people have kind of just put a pause button and think that they're going to start off exactly where they left off. But instead we say, use the time that we have right now. You're at home. We have some time, use it valuable, and make sure everything that you put on the back burner for months, years, you now actually can start working on it, and you can actually be zeroed in and focused to make sure that your system is set up correctly from now.
Yeah, 100%, because it would be really nice if you returned to your business and it was running like a well-oiled machine already. Like, that would be, in my eyes, that's like such a nice thing to go back to, because it's going to be stressful. There's a lot of unknown factors right now. We don't know how people are going to respond, how the market's going to respond. So there are things, and this is why I feel systems are so important. And I just kind of start with that, is there are things in our business and elements in our business that we can control. And then there are elements in our business that we cannot control. Those are inevitably sometimes leading to stressful situations, problems with closings, issues that we have with clients, things that come up, and they do come up. That's just the nature of our business. So they add stress to our day-to-day life. But there are things that we can control. Things such as, you know, how we manage our clients, the processes that we have put together, making sure that we don't make mistakes on our side of the business. And all of those things can be mitigated and solved if you figure out the back end of your business. This is really, really key, because by putting together a really solid system and process in place for your business on the back end, you're going to ensure success on the front end. You're going to make sure that less errors are happening, that your customers are going through the same consistent experience with you over and over again. You know, and I'll be very honest, and I'm going to admit this, because I'm, you know, that's me. I did not create systems. Like, I wish somebody had told me about this when I was selling real estate. We did not create systems out of, oh, we should probably do this. It was more out of a, if we don't have systems in our business, one of us will kill the other. So let's just like put this thing in place.
Figure it out.
Yeah, let's just figure this out. Because, and that's the honest truth. Like, a lot of us get to a point where we absolutely now have to create systems, and then we don't have time to create it. So from personal experience, I'm telling you, the times that, you know, it was a huge sacrifice that we had to make, because our business grew rapidly. And then as it started to grow, we didn't have like the back end operation procedures in place to manage and handle that growth. And that added to a lot of stress, started adding to errors. So we realized very quickly, if we don't mitigate this damage now, if we don't control this now, we're never going to be able to grow further and further, because your growth it gets stunted unless you have a really solid back end in place. So we would have to sacrifice, when I say sacrifice, it meant like we started early and we finished sometimes late creating these systems every single day until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sometimes. And, it's just like, and anything I've learned from that is, if you can avoid that. Avoid getting to a stage where you have to create systems out of necessity. Use this time that we have as a luxury to be able to put this together, so that when you return back to your business, you can, you return back, like I said, to a well-oiled machine. So I have some slides I'm going to share in a minute.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to just kind of start with, there we go. Where are we at? And just bear with me for a second. I thought I had them up, and then there we go.
You're all good?
All right. There we go.
Is it letting you?
It is. I think it is. I'm just going to take a second to see what happens. Share. There we go. Perfect. Right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to move this to the top, because if I don't, then I always have a tendency to look on the right side of the camera, and it looks really weird for people watching it. So yeah, I mean, we've got, I don't know how you're handling questions, but like, I'm happy to take questions at the end. I'm happy to take questions throughout. Like, if anyone wants to share something, I'm happy to just kind of address that as well. So I just, like, people know about me, but I want to take just a second to speak about, for those of you who don't know who I am, I've been in the industry just over 8 and a bit years now, and I've seen it from different angles. So I've sold as part of a top producing team in Milton, in Ontario. I've also been, I've also done trainings for one of the top real estate brands as a training specialist. And, for the last 2 and a bit years, I've run my own consulting company where I go around, I speak to brokerages, I train with agents, I've got coaching programs, because I'm very passionate about what I do and this industry. So the first thing I want to speak about today, and I think this is really, really key, is a shift in mindset. See, the how doesn't happen until the why is clear. I can give you guys tools, I can give you guys strategies, and I can tell you what you should do. But until you understand why it's necessary to do it for you, you're not going to have the motivation to implement it. That's just how we operate. That's just how we are. So the number one thing I feel real estate agents need to do is to shift their mindset in terms of, stop thinking you are your business, and remove yourself from your business and view your business as a separate entity. That's where you need to stop. Because when we think we are our business, we control everything. It's like, you're baking, you're cleaning the kitchen, you're doing everything yourself. Like, if you were in that situation, if that was your business, like, you cannot be doing everything yourself. Your business should not just be reliant on you. And I think this is something that we all have to kind of get to, is, and we don't think about it like that, but what if you were to be removed from your business one day? How would your business operate? How is it running? How does it look? Do you have a system, a process in place where you can say, okay, you know what? I have operational systems in place. Things happen. And I mean, this time that we're in right now is a perfect example. Things happen. Things happen that we don't expect. Things happen that we don't anticipate. So we always think things aren't going to happen to us until they do. And then we try to act at that point. So let's just say, for instance, let's just take a nice example. You go on holiday. How's your business running? Do you have procedures, processes in place that you can easily just kind of plug and play and give it to somebody else and be like, here you go. Here's where I'm at. Here's everything that needs to be done. And it's just like straightforward for anyone to take over. So we have to ask ourselves these crucial questions. How reliant is your business on you, and are you your business? Because the first step, like I said, is to remove yourself from your own business and start viewing it as an entity of its own. And that's where you can say, okay, this is what my business needs. This is what it needs. And you put your business one level above you. So it's almost like you look at you're working for your business. And that's the first mindset shift I feel that we need to create as real estate agents, because majority of people that I meet in this business have just created a job description for themselves, and they just show up and they don't really look at things they don't really look at their business like a business, like a proper
Absolutely.
business. I don't know. I mean, and that's just kind of been like my biggest challenge has been helping people see their business as its own entity. Because when you do that, you start treating it differently. When you do that, you start realizing the gaps, you start realizing the things that it needs. So it's really, really important to do that. And one thing we always talk about before you put together any systems or any processes or anything like that is understanding what it is that you stand for as a business, because that's a key question that you have to ask yourself before you start going into the nits and grits and things like that. Is like, what are your values? So we always talk about, you know, mission, vision, values. On lockdown and really be clear about what your values are as a business, because then every decision that you make, this almost becomes like a moral compass for you moving forward.
Is everybody still there? I think we might have lost Kiran.
I can hear you, but I can't hear her.
Okay, so we might have lost her. Yeah, I was seeing sometimes, I guess with everybody on their internet, where some people are having internet issues. While we wait for her to come back, one of the other things that I did want to point out is in regards to Karen, she's saying you guys have to be prepared, especially if you are going to go on vacation. But I like to look at it in an additional way, which is my goal and my hope for all of you is that you guys run such a seamless business that it grows exponentially. And with that being said, you're going to need help, whether you're going to have another agent on your team, whether you're going to have an assistant who comes in. We want to make sure that they can just fill in any of the gaps because the system is already there. They can easily just jump in. When I was helping others train to get to the point where they needed an admin, one of the things that I always had an issue with was they knew in their head what their process was, but it wasn't anywhere. So the admin could never just jump in and take over where that agent was going to leave off. Or if you had a buyer agent, they would never know exactly where you leave off. Karen, I think we're back.
Mm-hmm.
All
Sorry,
right.
I got kicked out. Zoom just decided to kick me out.
No worries. Continue on.
Sorry about that. Yeah. All right. So kind of going back to the whole mission, vision, and value statements is like, your mission statement is very simply like what it is that you do as a business. Like, what is it that you do? It's a very simple statement about what you do. And then your vision is what you aspire to be as an organization. And again, once you take yourself out of the equation, not totally, but once you start looking at your business as a separate entity, you then start to think about, okay, what do I actually, what does my business stand for? What do we stand for? What do I want to, like, what are our core values here as a business? And those are really, really important because as you grow as a business as well, as you start bringing on people onto your team, you're going to start to approach even the hiring process totally differently, which is all part of systems. Is like, you have a system, your values then become that compass that you use to make all your decisions. So when you're bringing on somebody onto your team, kind of assess what do they stand. And when you know as an organization and when you're clear on what it is that your business stands for, it'll become a lot easier for you to bring on people who are with the same mindset in and out. Are you experiencing that too, Ria? Like, is it happening?
I'm hearing you in and out. I think it might be the internet. I don't know if it's mine or.
I'm not sure. So let's see how we get on. I mean, it shows like my internet seems to be okay for now. That's, yeah, a couple people
Are saying, yeah, it's cutting out.
Sharik, your voice is cutting. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so maybe for a second, I can check if it's my internet. I'll have my partner quickly take a look for like 1 minute. And maybe, I don't know, Ria, if you can check if it's your internet. I can still understand everything though. So did you want me to continue, or do you want me to quickly take a look at my internet?
So I think because some people are saying that they can still kind of understand you, I guess wherever you're getting cut out, they can still finish the sentences. Mine was like that too. Somebody else is saying that they can't hear.
Yeah, reposition yourself.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I have my AirPods in. Yeah, for sure. I'll move over here and then see if this helps. But I just don't, like, I just didn't want to have this fridge in the background, but you guys are gonna have a pretty view of the fridge now. Alright.
I don't know.
See, how is this?
I think it's
How
worse.
is this now?
Oh, maybe.
Is this good? How are you? You keep.
It's still.
Is it
it's
worse?
Still,
okay, give me 1 moment.
Yeah, no worry.
I'm just gonna have my partner check. Is it still choppy? Okay, give me 30.
no, it's better.
No worries, Karen.
30 seconds.
This is what happens with technology, guys, so don't worry. Now, while we're waiting to see if she can get the internet figured out, does anybody have any questions in regards to systems in general? Maybe any complications or challenges that you're facing right now? Or if you have in the past, let us know so we can make sure we get those addressed.
Ria, I have a question.
Yes, Anetta.
So when you're thinking of setting up the systems,
yes,
how do you sit down and say, okay, today I'm working on a system. I need to figure out my buyer process or a seller process. Like, what do you do? Because for me, again, I know what I need to do. I've been doing it for a long time, but to actually figure out how to do a checklist is a challenge for me. Like, because it seems overwhelming. So what do you suggest? Where do you start?
So I guess everyone kind of will do it differently. For myself personally, when I was doing this, when I do this with agents, I like to focus in on their ideal case scenarios, maybe, or even the most difficult deal that they've done with a buyer or seller, and go through the process of what they did with each person. So dealing with a buyer, dealing with a seller, dealing with your database, those are all going to be various systems that you have. And each system has to be done in such a way where it can be replicated. So you need to figure out exactly what you do with each client. Now, everybody has a different list. Everybody's using different systems. Each agent is going to handle their clients differently. So that's why there's no cut and dry process. However, the best way to look at it as Karen said, what if you're going on vacation and you have to pass over your business? What would you tell that person to do? If you were hiring a buyer agent, Anetta, what would you do to get them to replicate what you currently do? If you had an assistant, what would they be adding in, or what would you advise them to do in order for them to continue on? I absolutely love, in general, checklists. So for me, it was always, what am I doing? For example, if I have a listing, what am I doing for the first? I'm going to assume that each of you have a specific period of time that you're always going to have for a listing before it expires, whether that's 90 days, 120 days. You decide, what are your tasks going to be? What are you doing every single day when you get a listing? What would you be doing before you get a listing? So when you schedule a listing presentation, what are the tasks that you're doing there? If you have a buyer, what are you doing in those cases? I love daily, weekly, monthly, yearly checklists. That's just how I work, and that's how I stay organized. Everybody's going to do it slightly differently. Karen, I think you're back and your internet looks good.
It seems to be okay. We checked, he checked, and we seem to be okay. I'm not sure if there's any, like, if it's lagging, just let me know. I'm really sorry about this, guys. But like I said, also Zoom's been giving me a lot of issues as well for the last like 3-4 days. I've had some concerns with Zoom as well.
I think because so many people are using it, they've had like, I think they're increased by like 200%. So
yeah, they've been gone. Yeah. So it kind of caught a little bit of the question that, you know, was asked, like, where do we start? And you know what, that's a really good question, because that's the thing that everybody asks me, is like, where do we begin? Where do we start? So you made a really good point. Just ask yourself, you know, the different stages of a transaction. If you're looking at operational systems, for example, your buyer processes, your listing processes, your lease processes, or whatever processes that you have. But where I like to begin first is I like to look at this as an opportunity for you to not only create processes as you're currently doing things, but also with how you'd like to be doing things, because there is room for improvement. In our business, we have room for improvement. And I think that the one thing you need to remember is that when you're being in the service industry, the only thing that we have that differentiates us from other agents is what level of customer service that we provide, right? So we have to ask ourselves, okay, how do we currently do things, and how would we like to improve on them? So simplicity is key. The problem is with systems, a lot of agents start to overwhelm themselves with thinking, oh my God, there's all of this that I need to do. Where do I begin? Simplicity is key. You cannot do everything in one go, but if you work on your systems for an hour, 2 hours a day, given the fact that, you know, now we have a little bit more time, normally I say work on your systems half an hour to 1 hour a day. Double that right now, double down on that, because you have the time to do it. You know, where will you be in 2-3 weeks from now? So don't try to rush it. Take one. I like to mind map things. So I like to look at the business on its own. And then I like to look at the key areas where I need systems. Okay, so we have your operational systems that we need. Like I said, your buyers, your listings, your leases. Those are all like your, you know, your front and back end processes that you need. We also need systems for constant marketing and lead generation. That's a system that we need to put in place. It's not something that's going to happen unless we systemize the process. Your marketing needs to be running on a consistent basis, so you consistently have an influx of leads, so you're consistently nurturing those people. We then need a client retention system as well for us. So we need to know how to retain, you know, the database of people that we have, how to make sure that we're keeping in touch with them, how to make sure we're servicing people that are not our clients currently, but have been our clients in the past, so that we get them back. I mean, so when we kind of look at those things, we need accounting systems. We need systems to make sure that, you know, our money is going in and out properly, and we're managing things on that end. So what I like to kind of do is I like to look at those main key areas, and then just create like a mind map with your business. Those are the 4 areas that you need systems within. And then you further draw from those within operations, within marketing, within lead generation, within, you know, client retention. What are some of the things that you need to create? And then you just tackle one a day. The problem is you can't tackle the whole thing. You take one and you just start working with it. And the key here is to be simple. You start with pen to paper. I promise you, if I show you my systems, you'll be like, whoa, this took you, like, how did you create this? Everything starts with the basics. Put pen to paper and start writing things out. For those of you who've been in the business for a long time, the most important thing to remember is that although you may know how you do things and run things in your business, the first challenge and the biggest challenge you're going to have after you create your systems is training yourself to use the system. It's the reality, right? Like, until we ourselves use our systems, we're not going to have our assistant, our marketing person, our buyer's agent, whoever's on our team, like, they're not going to implement anything that you don't implement. So the problem is with experienced agents, when it comes to introducing systems later on in their businesses, they don't apply the systems, and then they're kind of become pointless. So you have to actually train yourself and condition yourself to change your mindset a little bit and start applying those systems with the focus on this is going to make me more efficient. Now, like I said, walk yourself through being your own customer. This is a good place to start. Take a pen and paper and start to look at how you provide, like, what do you do for your typical buyer? How do you go through a typical listing? How often do they hear from you? At what stage do they hear from you? You know, communication is a big part of you creating systems, because communication enhances customer service, the level of customer service that you're providing. So look for those opportunities and look for those holes within your process as to where you can enhance that experience, because that's going to be a really good indicator. Because the only thing you're selling is yourself. You're not selling real estate, you're selling yourself and your services. So I'm just gonna switch to a slide over here, because I kind of go back and forth a bit, because consistency is really, really important. One thing you want to make sure is that if you're building your business and you're looking at your business as its own entity, that you're providing consistent level of customer service every single time. So every client of yours gets the same experience. And it's those little things that we add to our experience that make it special, that make it stand out. So your systems are not only an opportunity for you to grow, become more efficient, to be able to scale your business, but also an opportunity for you to stand out and increase the level of customer service that you're providing right now. So this is really, really important. See, for example, if I sell someone's house, and this is a perfect example, like, for instance, when we were selling, we had like a custom listing program, which was a very unique program that went into as deep details as like what air freshener is going to go up in every single listing, to what color scheme we're going to have in every single listing. Like, it was very specific. And that's an experience though, because once a client goes through that experience, if they refer you, they want whoever they refer you to have the same experience. And unless you have it down pat, like where you have a proper process in place and you know, and you have everything written down and you're following it, you're not going to be able to replicate that experience.
Absolutely.
And that's something really, really important to remember, is like, when we, the trust factor that people have in our business, is there a list of suggested systems? Yes, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I do have some systems that I want to talk about, so just bear with me for a second. That's Anita. Okay, brilliant. So think about like how you can enhance the level of customer service that you're delivering as well. Now, what systems can we create? So first of all, you have to create a system for yourself. I think these are some of the key ones. I can go on and on about this, but we have a limit, like we're limited time today. So the first system you need to create is for yourself. So how are you organizing your days? How are you structuring yourself, your email management, your calendars? Like, I usually just recommend Google Suite. I think G Suite is a really good, like, basic beginners kind of, even like, you know, companies that I know that have scaled really, really well. Google Suite, G Suite is really, really nice because it gives you the cloud storage, it gives you the calendar, it has the email, it gives you that integration. So it becomes easy for you to kind of structure your day, structure your appointments, things like that. Really, really important. Your operations and your transactions. So kind of what we were speaking about, you look at the experience that your client goes through with you. Let's just say a listing, and you look at everything that you're currently doing before, everything you're doing during and after the actual transaction. So you kind of cut it down into 3 stages, and then and this is really important. Start simple, but remember, as you go through it over and over again, it will become more elaborate, because you'll go for it, be like, actually, I should probably send them an email between going to their house for the listing presentation and after I leave. There should be an email that goes out thanking them for their time. And I'm going to do that every single time I do a listing presentation, so that belongs into a system. So we have to kind of find, when you put pen to paper and start writing things out, you'll start to see things that can be automated. You'll start to see things that can be eliminated. Mm-hmm. You'll start to see things that can be outsourced. So that stuff only starts to happen when you write down to a very minute detail everything that you're doing. One of the things that we do with our clients when we work with them on their systems is we do a task audit. Is like, take a look at everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis, because it's not until write down all the things that you're doing throughout your day that you start to realize, holy, like I need to, like, this is not efficient at all. Like I need to automate this. I need to. So that's where you kind of begin. This is something everybody can do. Right now is a bit tricky because you're not out and about and it's not your typical kind of work week right now. But when you're back at work, that may be something you want to do, is just kind of do a task audit on yourself and just figure out the things that you are doing on a daily basis for about a week. And then you'll look at that and you'll start to see what belongs in your systems, because you know that'll give you a really good indication as well. But like I said, break your processes down into 3 stages: before, during, and after, and then start to write down the things that you're doing, and then go over it again and then assess it and walk yourself through that process as if you were your own client right now, and ask yourself, what kind of experience am I getting? And then you'll start to find holes in your system, because your systems aren't just meant for growth. They're also meant, like I said, for improvement of your business and enhancement of the customer service level that you're getting. So I like to always be like, oh, I should probably do an email here. Or, hey, I'm always sending, like, I always have to send the same instructions to my print guy for the flyers every time we have a listing. I should probably automate that and write out a templated email, and that belongs into a system. It's simple things like that. When I was doing listings, for instance, if I had a rental listing and I wanted to even put it on Craigslist or Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace, we all do that. Why don't you write out a simple template for that, so that just in case you can't do it, someone else can just read it and replicate it and do it for you, rather than writing it out over and over again. I mean, there are so many email communication, day-to-day communication emails that you go back and forth with with your clients that need to be created and put into a system so that you have them there. Because one thing we have to remember is, after a listing presentation, after a buyer consultation, after an open house, after, like, at various stages throughout the transaction, you communicate with your clients verbally. They don't remember everything you say to them. I think we take for granted that our clients are listening to us. They really are not. So what's really nice is, rather than repeating yourself over and over again, is to leave them with something written that repeats and reinforces things that you have said to them, right? So I think this is really, really key. I'm gonna just take a second to show you guys, because I think if I showed you, like, I hope I can log in. This wasn't part of my plan, but I just kind of want to do it right now, is just show you guys, like, a very basic kind of system. Evernote, remember, Ria, you guys had us, like, on Evernote.
I love Evernote. I'm such a systems person, so for me.
Yeah. So I just kind of want to show you guys where our systems started and how they began, because this is really important. Maybe if you guys can visualize it. Right. Let's go into this for a second. Right. Can everyone see this where it says lease system?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So literally all that I've done here, or we've done here as a team, is we wrote down, we separated, like, some of you this may not apply to, but we separated the admin and action items, agent action items. We had that support on our team, but if you don't right now, you know, that will evolve as you start to kind of create your task audit. You'll start to see, these are things that I actually don't want in my day-to-day. These are things I want to, maybe that's through doing your task audit, you realize, because a lot of you don't realize that you are ready for an admin. Maybe it's a part-time
Absolutely.
So I think it's just like, you know, once you start to kind of realize the amount of time it'll free up for you, and it's not until you write down all the things that you're doing. So for instance, prior to the appointment, like I said, you break it down into stages. This is a very basic system that I'm showing you. This then evolved. We then moved this into a technology like Asana, Trello, like project management tools that allow you to automate certain things and add things to the workflow. So prior to the appointment, what needs to be done? So, you know, things like bring a spare key, take this opportunity to verify mailing address, ask the client who's on title. If you're taking pictures, here are some, you know, here are some instructions. Send them an email summarizing the above points. And there is an email template that was written out. So I'm going to open it. Hope you guys can see it as well. You know, here's a basic email template, reminder email before initial appointment. So we literally just wrote everything out that belongs in a system, just because, like, that's where you know, that's where we start to kind of make our lives easier as well. Again, agent action items to prepare for the appointment. At the appointment, what needs to be done? Is there any sheet, you know, and any forms we need them to sign? You know, what paperwork do they need to fill in? What hard copy of these documents needs to be provided to the landlord? What happens if the property is currently tenanted? Things like that. And it just keeps going on and on and on. Next steps email. This is really crucial. Like if you look at the next steps email, we wrote this out in 2016, this is a while ago, but like in a lot of detail, like, you know, how do you, for us to, after we put a property on the market for a landlord, what are the next steps for them? Although we go through it verbally, we still, again, realize the importance of putting something like that into writing. So here's how showings are going to happen. Here's how we're going to qualify any potential tenants if they come through. Once we found a tenant, this is going to happen. You need to have this ready. This is what you're going to get from us. Here is a reference point for you. So again, when I say process operationally, this is kind of what I mean. Very like a very just step by step. And this is how you can start. You can take Evernote and do this too. Like you could literally just pop into Evernote and just, or any note, like Word doc, anything, and just start typing out the process. That's where you begin. For those of you who are wondering where you begin, that's where you begin. So, I mean, I used Evernote and then I migrated into Trello. For anybody who doesn't know what Trello is a project management software. It's really, really great. And, you know, that's where, for example, the next thing I'm going to talk about, social media management, right? A lot of us want to do better online. Now, especially more than anything else, is the time for you to be more present online, because that's where everybody is. Like, you're not going to go knock on doors. And I say this with hesitance because I don't like to make predictions or anything like that. But I personally, like, if I just think about myself, after this whole thing is over, and of course, we're all kind of being really mindful and wary of, like, you know, who we come in touch with. I think it'll be a while before people are comfortable opening their doors to people again that are strangers and that are unknown to them, right? Like, I mean, we're going to have that hesitance, I feel, for some time. So anybody who relies their business, or their business is relying on methods like door knocking in person, you may want to rethink a little bit about how you can consolidate your strategy a little bit through online presence as well. So social media management, I mean, again, I'm going to show you guys something, which again, it's a smaller group, so I'll just take a second to pull it up, but a system for social media. So just, you know, create a system for yourself where you can manage your content online, create the different categories of content that you want to speak about, and then start plotting in ideas, because what you don't want is come up with things every single day. That's just not realistic, right? It's better for you to plan that stuff, have a system for that stuff. Again, can you see Ria, my my Trello?
No.
Good, that's exactly what I intended. I'm just gonna show you guys like a couple of boards here. Social content planner, and there we go, sample content board. So for example, you guys can start to, here we go, share, there we go. Just gonna pop it over here. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for instance, this is like just an idea for you guys to start with, right? Just a planner. This is Trello. For those of you who are not familiar with Trello, it's just a project management tool. It's free. You can organize yourself in different ways, but you can have different categories that you want to plan your content under and start to just create, like, you know, this can be your first piece of content. So I want to talk about my holiday in Spain over here, and just going to share something and have something attached to it. Here, I'm going to share a market update. And then you go into it and you start to actually create that content. Like, you start to actually write out things, take the numbers, and you plan your stuff. But the whole point here with systems is that you're planned, prepared. This may be overwhelming for some of you who haven't used these technologies before, which is why I say this is how they evolve your systems, but it has to start with pen to paper, just putting things together. Lead generation is an interesting one, because a lot of people don't think they need a system for lead generation, or that they don't actually have to do marketing on a consistent basis. But, you know, you don't wait for things to start thinning out and your business to start kind of, you know, becoming a little bit slow to start marketing. You got to do it consistently. There has to be budgets in place. You have to have this is the only way you're going to build predictability in your business, is to actually have marketing systems. Because if you don't, then there is absolutely no way for you to even have a predictable business. You're just relying on hope, which isn't a strategy.
No.
You know, and these are the key ones that I feel like agents, if they're just beginning with systems, these are the ones that I feel like are really, really key for them to create. Your marketing, your lead generation, something for your accounting, so you have your numbers in place, and then something for your repeat and referral, so your client retention and nurturing system. When I say that, all I'm saying is, how many times are you, start with something as simple as, how often are your clients hearing from you? Very simple. Where are your clients? Do you have them consolidated into a database? Do you have a CRM that you're using? If you do, again, I'm not going to get into which CRM works. The one that you use works, because again, a CRM is not, a lot of us are just like using the whole CRM thing as an excuse not to get into it, including myself at some point. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was the same way when I didn't have the time to do it. I don't know, it's a learning curve and I don't know which one works. All of them work. They all do basic things. There are some that are just, you know, it just depends on preference, your budget, things like that, that you can just like kind of assess what works better for you. But once you just got to use it. And that's, at the end of the day, the very basic system that your CRM needs to perform is to manage your database, so that you have tags associated, so you have people in different categories, so you know who they are, where they came from, what their contact information is, and then you're able to plug them into some sort of like a flow where they hear from you periodically. That's really one of the most key, at its heart, like core functions of a CRM. So have one. So you can do
Karen, if somebody has not experienced, they're starting at ground zero, never had a system, which area would you tell them to start with aside from the you area?
I was going to say processes, 100% their operations, because especially if they're new, they need to create the step by step process for buyers, for listings, for leases. Chances are a new agent is probably working a lot of leases, working, you know, maybe buyers. Listings aren't usually like, you know, listings usually come a little bit later. So for leases, don't underestimate how much work goes into leases. Don't fly by the seat of your pants when it comes to leases. As a new agent, that's where I would begin. And that's what I was focused on as well, because I think they're great training.
Is everyone still there? Did I?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Didn't know if it was me or her.
Yeah.
All right. So while we wait for her to come back, I guess, for those of you who have never done systems, I can definitely do a little consultation with you guys, because I do absolutely love systems. We can even do kind of a little round table group and come up with things together if that helps you guys as well. So if anybody is interested in that, shoot me an email at ria@agentmarketingsystem.ca, and then we can create a little group and perfect what your processes are. Now, while we're waiting, does anyone have any specific questions? I know she's kind of going over some of the other areas very quickly. So do you guys have any questions while we wait for her? No. So one other thing that I will say, guys, with social media management, she is telling you to plan out exactly some various topics and things of that nature. I also want you guys to make sure you are keeping in line, making sure that your social media postings reflect what your mission and your vision are for your business. I also, when I used to do accountability, which I still love to do, I would always make sure that our clients have kind of a schedule. So it could be every Tuesday you're posting a specific thing. And these are definitely things, once you have your system and you have some content ideas done, these are things that you can delegate. I'm not sure how many of you actually want to be on social media and do social media. So these are things that you guys can delegate. And in the end of the day, that will save you time and allow you to focus on what you really enjoy the most about your business.
I'm so sorry. I just keep getting kicked out. Zoom
No
is
worries.
there today. I just keep getting kicked out.
No
So
worries.
yeah, I'm happy to share some of these basic templates that I have as well, just because I think that might help people with kind of getting started as well, and depending on where they are at as well. I have some basic buyer processes, basic listing processes that I'm happy to share. They can reach out to me. I have a slide at the end of this on how they can reach out as well. And yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. This is just like, this has been a bit frustrating for me as well. So hoping we don't have to, hoping I don't get kicked out in the next 10 minutes.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed. Okay. So one other thing that I want to say to you is another system that really helps is, for example, and it's a very specific one, is how do you handle leads when they come in? We all get those incoming leads. So example, if you're doing marketing on a consistent basis and you're getting leads, what is the first conversation you have with them? Is there an email that goes out? Is there a video email that goes out? All of those things belong into a process. And I'm just going to give you a very cool example of how systems have helped me save a lot of time, especially for a new agent. We're very quick as a new agent to just kind of take every call we have and just kind of start right away with, if someone calls us and says, we want to go see this, and we're like, yeah, let's go. You know, we don't really pause and think. So for example, a process very simply like I have for calls that come in, is asking them specific questions, then having something that they get from me right away. So they're like, okay, let's just say, for instance, I'm speaking to a new lead. My system would be, hey, it's really nice to speak with you. Oh, can I go see this property? I saw this home online. I saw your number next to it. Can you show me this home? We get those from different websites and things like that. So for me, it's very important that I have a very structured process in place. Okay, here's how we do things. Here's how I operate. It shows leadership, which is what a lot of people are looking for. Actually, most of our clients, every single one of our clients, I should say, is looking for some sense of leadership from you. So when you take charge from the very first conversation, it really changes the tonality and how your whole entire relationship with them is going to play out. And that can be done through a system. So I'll just be like, okay, it's very nice to speak with you. I understand that this is what you're looking for. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to, number one, send you an email that talks about a little bit about my services, because this is the first time we're speaking. There is a video attached to it. There is a step-by-step process that, you know, how we deal with buyers and what you can expect by working with us, because this is the first time we're speaking. So of course I want to make sure that you understand that. I'm also going to send you a market update for the area that you're looking in, because that is the area that I work with. And then in that email, there's going to be a link where you can click on and see my availability, and we can, you know, we can schedule a time to speak. How does that sound? So again, immediately what you're doing is you're setting the tone on how you operate. You're showing them that you have your ducks in a row, and by showing them that you have your ducks in a row, you're going to eliminate time wasters. You're going to actually attract the people that are serious, that appreciate the customer service that you're providing, and then you're going to eliminate the ones that are just time wasters. And you know, we deal with those types of people all the time. And again, it's going to put you in the driver's seat. When you have a process that you follow, it becomes very, your confidence level changes, the way you speak to people changes. Just like, yeah, I know this is how I do things. And, you know, I'll be very honest, like when I was selling real estate, like I said, I did it out of necessity. I've had to like kind of go back to the business that I'm in. I've had to recreate the whole thing all over again. You know, it's like when you're just kind of doing things as they happen and responding to things and you're not prepared, your clients don't take you seriously. So this is really, really important. And there's a system that you can put together. Is like, okay, what are the questions I'm going to ask as soon as I get a lead, call me, or I call a lead? What email goes out to them right away? Is there a video that I need to record and put into that email? Let's create that template. You know, can I make my scheduling a little bit easier? Let's start putting things into my calendar. So things like that belong into a system. And I think those are great for new agents, like the lease processes, and the system for themselves is really, really important. And then the next one would be a process for buyers, because once you've done the lease process, your buyer process becomes a lot easier, because a lot of it is similar, except for some things are different. And then you move on to the listings process, I would say. You got to obviously always work and being a new agent, depending on how much budget you have and how much money you want to spend, that's when you start to then take the next steps as you start to close deals. Okay, now want to start allocating a certain amount towards marketing and nurturing and things like that. So that growth phase comes after, but your basic operational procedures need to be in place first. All right.
Perfect.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. So let me show you this slide as well, because again, we're talking about Trello. So can you see my screen still, Ria?
Yep, we're all good.
Okay. All right, perfect. Right. So as you can see, like this would be a typical listing or buyer system within Trello, right? Like you have on the left-hand side, you can see all the things that need to happen: client contact, details of the property, all the paperwork, photography, print marketing, post signage, lockbox, cooperating brokerage information, and then you kind of start going into details. So that expands into this and this. So this is something like Trello. And like I said, I have a basic one like this, which at the end of the call, whoever wants it, I'm happy to kind of share a template with people as well. But that would be something. So what do you guys use as well? Have you used Trello, Ria?
No. I used to use it. I don't use it now. So,
yeah.
And again,
Trello,
it's a little different now, right? But it's a good, very, very good system.
It definitely is, yeah. So here are some of the other ones that I would recommend as well, as far as like, structuring yourself and creating systems and things like that. So for any templates that you want to create for your marketing, anything, any graphics, any social media posts, any presentations, any listing presentations, any water bottle labels, anything you want to create. Like I'm just going to show you a quick graphic over here. Anything like that you want to create. So for example, this would all belong into a system, like where you have all your templates created, your brochures, your buyer's guides, your business cards, like everything, your social media graphics, just listed, just sold, all of that stuff. If you want to create that yourself, Canva is a really, really good tool to do that. It's free for the most part, unless you're using their paid images. Yesware is a really nice extension for emails. So if you want to organize your emails and kind of start to put a little bit of structure into, tracking outgoing emails, opens, things like that, Yesware is really good for that. It creates templates. It has basic drip marketing systems as well if you don't have a CRM yet. Okay. Of course, there's Trello, which I really like as well. Drip's great as well. I've used it for a number of years. And this can literally be replaced with any other CRM that you use. So I should just say CRM at this point. Any CRM that's good, that works for you, go for it. Just use it, please. And right, so I'm just gonna, I think we have, how long do we have with me being kicked in and out? Just happy to take any questions if we have any at this point.
So anyone, if you guys have questions, feel free to use the chat box. I see my internet's being a little weird right now.
Is it again?
It's mine this time. I can see me. Yours is okay.
Is mine okay now?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, thank
So
God.
while we're waiting, you said for everybody, they should be starting with the U systems, right? So to really track and audit themselves for about a week to see what they're
so just a basic. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good place to start. So I've got a couple questions here as well. How to get the buyer process systems, Sherry. So we can, I'm happy to send through to Ria, or if you want to pop your email address, and I'm happy to share something, which is a basic system. But again, keep things simple. Yes. A lot of what I talked about is, again, I have had 1 hour to speak about something that took me a couple of years to put together, and it's still always evolving. I'm not kidding. But the thing is, you can't let that scare you away. You can't let the whole complexity of this, whole entire thing. It looks complex because it's just a lot to it, but you got to tackle one thing and then finish it and then get to the next one. So, just step by step, just kind of create, what am I currently doing? Like I said, again, put yourself in the position of your client. What experience are they getting with you? Write it out, everything that you're doing. And then once you've done that, literally take pen and paper or Word document, whatever. Just start writing out everything that you do. okay, I show them, I send them listings, I do this, and then I send them an email, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then take them out, and then look through it. Then put it away, and then give it some time, and then look at it again in a while. And then start to walk yourself through it, pretending like you're the client, receiving that experience that you're giving to them. Now, what you do at that point is you then start to find holes. Be like, I should probably make this better. I should probably send them an email here. I should probably do this here. So you then start to improve your system. One thing we all have to remember is your systems are not set in stone. They are an ever evolving thing. You know, they're always evolving. You're always going to be making changes to it. You're always going to be doing things better. You're going to one day go for a transaction and something will happen with your deal, which is going to prompt you to include something, you know, something in your systems to prevent that from happening in the future. So for example, I had a very simple thing happen. I got sued by my client at Legacy, which was a really interesting experience for me because I was a rookie agent. And I got sued because the client claimed things that they didn't get from me. So what did I do in my system now? I make damn sure that my clients acknowledge every single time receiving documents that have been sent to them. So I keep a track of my communication. All of these things are really crucial. Like I said, your systems are always evolving, but you got to start somewhere. So, you know, just start somewhere, start with one, and then go from there. Canva is the easiest to marketing material. Any graphics that you want to create, Canva hands down is the best for it. It literally is just unmatched in my experience, because I'm not a graphic designer or anything like that. I don't know how to use Photoshop, but Canva, I'm a pro. So I love Canva. This is so valuable. Thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate it. 8 pages of notes. Oh my God, thank you. Okay, email address, I think that's fantastic. I think I'll make a note of this as well. Everyone who's put their email here, and then I'll take the rest of them from Ria, and I'll shoot something out with a quick tutorial as well, like a video tutorial, because I know I missed, you know, I was in and out of the webinar today. So yeah, what's your email? Joe, great. This is great, guys. Thank you so much. All right, so we're at 11 a.m.
Perfect.
Anything you want to add at this point?
So just want to say thank you so much. You know my love of systems already. So for me, it's great to hear somebody else explain it, and your take on it compared to some others in the industry. Trust me, guys, Kiran knows what she's talking about, and having systems will definitely make your life easier. Setting the expectations with your clients and coming from a place of confidence will also make a huge difference in your business, and systems will allow you to grow your business to where you want to take it.
100%. This is what we all have to remember, is growth cannot happen unless you have, we can take on more clients. We all want more clients, but one thing we don't remember is that, do we have the capacity, the bandwidth, the systems, the processes in the back end to actually take on those clients and to service them properly? So everybody wants clients, but we don't stop and think about it. We get so excited when we get more clients. Like a friend of mine who I learned a lot from about business, and he used to always say to me, he's like, you know, I saw so much opportunity for him to grow. I'm like, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. Why don't you do this? And it's like, hang on a minute, like, I don't have the capacity in the back end to do this right now. Like I need to put processes for this in place. I need to automate certain things before we start to take on more people. And that's the thing. It's better to grow slowly but properly, rather than just have like too many clients that you can't manage with, and then you're just kind of, you know, that can impact your reputation. If you guys want to reach out to me as well, like I'm doing, you know, I'm happy to have individual chats. I offer free discovery calls for 20 minutes just to kind of go over your one-on-one situation. If you wanted to do that, my website's agentconsulting.ca. You know, if you just go on there, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm happy to chat individually as well if anybody wants to work more on their systems.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kiran.
Thank you.
We'll be hearing from you soon. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
For sure. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.